Well, all right. Welcome back to the podcast and the broadcast.
Two for one.
Doing a little bit of everything this time. This is Chris Frank Games, a video game podcast. Frank, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. Happy Valentine's Day to the other day for you. I guess if you're watching on YouTube.
Yes, it is the day after Valentine's Day. How was the Valentine's Day?
Oh, it's fine. We got Chinese food. Chinese
Yeah.
food, gas station flowers, the married person,
Yeah, make it easy. 2 kids,
Yeah.
no fuss, no muss.
Yeah.
That's a Jewish Valentine's, isn't that, or is that Christmas where they go to?
Oh,
Or they
yeah,
go
that's
to
Christmas.
Chinese food.
Chinese food, yeah. There's no traditional Valentine's meal other than dick.
Frank, be careful what you're talking about. It is Valentine's Day, so you may be speaking about the metaphorical dick, but there may be unintended consequences on that. All right, but this is Chris Frank Games, a video game podcast. My name is Chris Hotz, and then that's Frank White. Frank, we already said hello. I
Hey.
didn't say their names. But we have a lot to talk about. Unlike the past couple of weeks, we have quite a bit of news to talk about, including a huge Nintendo Direct, which hit on Wednesday of this week. We got some other news, and then we're going to talk about the Activision Blizzard firing / layoffs / everything else.
Yeah, Activision Blizzard, good news, bad news day.
Yeah, so we
Good
will,
news and bad news.
we'll talk about all that, and then you know what? We'll actually we'll talk about the what I like to call the message board talking points, because there's a lot of narratives going around the story, and I think we should just discuss them. So let's cut through the noise and be real for a moment. But first we're gonna return to childhood land. Go back to those Saturday mornings with a bowl full of cereal and milk, and you and your other sibling trying to beat Super Mario Bros. 3. Yes, we're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct, the nostalgia broadcast. By the way, when I checked, there was 570,000 people watching this concurrently, and that was at the beginning of the show. So I'm sure that reached over 600,000. I mean, I wonder if it hit 1 million. But Frank, did you? I know you tweeted about this. Did you actually? Or at least you tweeted about Tetris. Did you watch any of this?
No,
Direct?
it's the kind of thing that I just see the info bubbling up on Twitter. So I get the highlights.
Yeah, in the periphery.
Yeah. But I'm at work at these things, and I am offended by the insinuation that I would spend my workday watching Nintendo Direct. I only watch the live streams for consoles that I have.
Yeah, there you go. You.
I mean, I
priorities, right?
don't watch this work.
All right. Well, let's just go through this somewhat rapid fire, because there's quite a bit actually. Super Mario Maker 2 will be coming out. When I kind of first saw this, I thought it was only gonna be Super Mario Maker 1, like updated. But I hope they added. It seems like they added a bunch of Super Mario World, 3D World from the Wii U stuff, but it's 2D. And then I guess the other big thing is that there's slopes in this game. So the original Mario Maker did not have slopes. So just like the original Mario did not have slopes. So apparently that's like a 2D issue or whatever.
Well, I'm sure it's something to do with sprite scaling or whatever.
Yeah. So the menu system looks like it's really updated. Like everything is looks like a radial system. And yeah, I mean, I never got this one for the Wii U, and I don't think I'm gonna, because I don't really want to play a whole bunch of Mario levels, nor do I want to design a bunch of Mario levels. But I guess it sold a bunch.
It's just a
on Wii U.
race to the most difficult things that are possible to do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Well, maybe there'll be some cool features. How about like a 3D world, or I'm sorry, like a 3D Mario Maker, huh? How about that?
That's just dreams, man.
Yeah, that'll probably never happen. But
No,
All
no,
right.
I mean it's literally like the game Dream, so you
Oh.
could do that.
All right. So and then Box Boy plus Box Girl. This was a, I guess, a overlooked platformer on the three. Well, it was like a puzzle platformer for the 3DS. I never played it. But it's kind of like this monochrome kind of color, and they had actually color to this game, and it has a really nice, clean look. So I may give that a check shot. Check that out. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is going to have an update with multiplayer, and then new levels with paid DLC. That was a fun game. I had that for the Wii U, not for the Switch. New Starlink content, which is the pretty much the only Star Fox game out there these days.
Mm.
Well, you can play Sleepy Toad, Falco, and Peppy.
Not the main
I've
guys,
heard the
though?
game's really fun. Apparently, it's like really cheap at Best Buy too. It's like $20 or something like that.
Wait, is that the one where you have to have the little toys?
Yeah, it's the Toys of Life thing, but you do not actually have. You don't have to have them.
Oh.
It's only you can actually but I guess the set's like only $16 or something like that, or $20 or something. All right, and then they showed a lot of Japanese RPGs. I don't really care about any of those, so I could not tell you the difference between any of them.
Well, didn't there was I guess it was done RPG, but doesn't Platinum have a new game?
Yes,
Something
yes.
with anime people slicing each other up.
Yes, we'll get to that. I got that written down.
Right,
And then they
it's its own thing.
we're just kind of go through chronological order here. So then they showed Yoshi's Crafty. No, sorry, Yoshi's. Is it Crafty World or something like that? World Craft or something? I don't know. Something like World of Worldcraft Yoshi. I don't know. It's the new Yoshi platformer. It's a out of the.
Is it the
Unreal Engine.
yarny one like they did with Kirby?
It's like cutout stuff basically. It's like cutout like cardboard. Crafted World. It's Yoshi's Crafted World. It's basically a world made of cardboard and stuff. So, and household materials. And there's a free
Recycling
demo.
those Labos.
Yeah, a free demo which I downloaded, and I guess the first level you can play, and I play that. So I will talk about that in the games we've been playing. Look forward to that. And that comes out on March 29th. All right, Fire Emblem 3 Houses of Threes or 3 Houses or something. I don't know. I don't really care that much about Fire Emblem, but it looked pretty good. And then here's kind of a out of left field, Tetris 99, which I guess you could best describe it as a Tetris Battle Royale game where you get 99 people in the same game, and you all compete to see who can last longer in the game of Tetris. And also,
it's nerd glasses pushing up. That's not how Battle Royale works. That's just every last man standing, every man for himself.
Well, the way that it works is that again, I'm not sure if this is the demo or just the game, because I think this is tied into the Nintendo Online service, but also this is also available for the Vita. So I'm a little bit confused about that. I didn't really do too much research, but I just know I downloaded and played it. So what happens is that, when you play 2-player with Tetris and you get like a Tetris or whatever, and it goes to your opponent or whatever like that. So basically, it picks random. Actually, you know what? I may be wrong about that. I think you actually may be able to select other people.
Well, it looks like it has little lines showing you like who your victim will be.
Yeah. So again, I'm a little bit confused. I think maybe it might be random, but also because you have like all the players also on your screen to the left and right of your board.
Yeah.
And I think you can touch the screen.
To see how everybody's doing.
Yeah, yeah. So I think you actually might be able to pick your own players who you want to fuck over. You can tell.
So it's like, oh crap! Things are getting out of control here, and now I have a target on my back, and now I'm dead.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Unless maybe only one person can be like attacking another person at a time.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is only one at a time, and again, I'm not sure if it's random or if you could pick them. Yeah, and I played once, and I think I got 52. Or whatever like that. I thought I played pretty well, but and this is a classic excuse. I just didn't get the right pieces, Frank. I didn't get the right pieces.
Yeah, you have to be prepared for every eventuality. Yeah, you can't just be sitting there hoping for your 4x1 piece. Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, I never get those long pieces. So, and then it's Tetris. It's a really good Tetris version too. It's not Tetris Effect. But that multiplayer thing is pretty cool. So.
We have Tetris Chill Out and Tetris Kill Your Friends.
Mm.
These are the two genders.
Yeah. Mm. All right. So and then what else we got? Okay, so Dead by and then we got a bunch of ports. A bunch of ports. Dead
Ports
by
are people
Daylight.
too.
Mm. No, not quite. But Dead by Daylight, that's coming out to the Switch. Looks pretty rough. The frame rate does not look that great. And the textures look pretty muddy. Also getting Hellblade. I thought that actually looked pretty good. But again, not a whole lot going on other than just high-res graphics and this girl moving around. Mortal Kombat 11. That was kind of a surprise to me. And again, it's going to be interesting to see how this actually looks on the Switch. How much are they going to have to tone it back? But this actually makes quite a bit of sense. Can you imagine having a little MK11 machine, be able to bring it from to your friend's house? I think that's pretty compelling.
Yeah, I'm playing Mortal Kombat on the bus, and that old lady just threw up because I did a fatality.
Yeah. I'm getting arrested.
Speaking of which, I've been watching the character reveals for Mortal Kombat 11 as they come out, and I haven't played one of those games in a long time, and it is very weird to me now how lethal the non-fatality attacks are, because they've got all kinds of, I don't know what they're called. Some kind of special attack where you do something just absolutely brutal to the other person, and the camera zooms in, and you get the X-ray sometimes of what bones you're breaking. But they were doing Jade today, and she was just stabbing the guy in the head, and I'm like, oh, that's not a very good fatality. And then they're like, this isn't the fatality. I'm like, well, you stabbed them in the skull. The knife went into the top of their head and came back out again. I don't know how they're still going, and they're always like that. They're you just slice the person's throat open, and then the one character pulls their blood out and makes a knife out of their blood, and then stabs them again. And you're like, how did that not kill them? They're like, well, it wasn't a fatality.
Yeah, that sounds
different thing.
That sounds fatal to me. Sounds pretty fatal to me.
Half the things they do to each other these days in Mortal Kombat seem like they would be instantly fatal.
Yeah. All right, so what else we got here? Oh yeah, so more ports that we're talking about. Unravel 2, that's coming out. I mean, that's the most kind of non-Nintendo game that EA has released for a while. Ace, I'm sorry, I was gonna say Ace Combat 3, but no, Assassin's Creed 3, which was last gen game, right? Or was it this gen? I think it was last gen.
Who even knows?
Yeah.
Is that America or Pirates or?
Yeah, that's the Revolution one.
Okay.
So, yeah, again, frame rate does not look good. Looks pretty bad. All right, and Final Fantasy VII will be coming out March. Finally coming out in Nintendo system.
This is gonna come out on something.
Yeah. Finally, can you imagine? So the Final Fantasy VII was the reason why Square left Nintendo's platform, and here we go. Finally, 25 years later, Square comes crawling back. Say, please let us put this shitty game on your system.
Well. Everybody knows that Aerith dies.
If only Hiroshi Yamauchi or whatever the old guy, the old emperor of Nintendo, whatever his name was. All right.
I don't know if that's how the corporation works.
It's Japan. That's how they say it, right? Okay, Final Fantasy IX. I have no idea which version that is, but I guess that's a thing. All right, and then a couple other things. There's a new game by the Undertale devs, or dev. I'm not sure if it's more than one guy, but the first chapter will be free, but then the other chapters will not be free. It'll be interesting to see if they do episodic. I think time has kind of proven that episodic doesn't work, right? That people buy maybe the first or two ones, but then they don't buy the other ones.
I don't know, maybe, but they got a lot of fans. There's a lot of very dedicated Undertale fans, and it's not a hugely technically demanding game, obviously. So, obviously, the design work and whatnot is not something you can do instantaneously, but maybe they got a bunch of ideas kind of backed up in their back pocket. So you can actually put these out at a reasonable pace, because that's always the killer for episodic stuff. maybe it would work if anybody could, keep people from just waiting until the end, or like, we're still waiting on Kentucky Route Zero, episode 5.
The game's been out for 5 years, right? I remember people talking
Yeah,
about it
yeah,
longest time
it's
ago.
been a while.
I think the key, like, I think it's like a show. Like every week, I think every week you have to really, and then I know you can't develop an episode every week of a video game. That's why you pretty much have to have everything done and slowly trip it out. I think a week is because I'm playing these live service games, especially with Battlefield 5 now, where they do these new challenges every week, and it seems like once a week is just enough to bring me back, like maybe 2 or 3 hours every week to keep playing a little bit. So, all right, but that's a whole nother story. All right, what else we got here? Damon X Machina, which is kind of the Zone of Enders kind of game.
That's a mech thing. They've shown that before.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool, and actually, it's a demo which I downloaded, but I have not played it yet, so I have no opinion. But it definitely looks cool. All right, and then the Platinum game that you were referring to is called Astral, or Astrial. I think it's Astrial Chain.
Yes.
Astrial Chain. No, it's a 2-player game, and I thought it looked it looked pretty cool. It seemed like the frame rate was pretty solid, and yeah. So I don't know.
It's all these ports are just struggling based versus the games that they're like, we know what we're getting into.
Yeah. So this I think this is a new IP. So I wonder if this is exclusive for the Switch for a while. How long that's gonna last? Because Bayonetta, right, is not on any of those other systems.
Yeah, Bayonetta is just a Nintendo thing now.
That's weird.
It's kind of a bummer.
Kind of weird. All right, but what do you call it? The other one, right? That they had Nier Automata. That's the same guys,
well,
though, right?
They did. What's that game they did that I don't like? It's the one with the shooter with the rocket boots. It's Gears of War, but you have rocket boots. And you're the DARPA guy. I don't know, it's last gen, and everyone loves it, but it's the only Platinum game that I never got into.
Yeah. Okay, well.
It's gonna bug me down.
No, that's a hitch. Okay, all right. So what else we got here? Oh yeah, and then kind of the finale was the grand finale was the reveal of a remake of the Game Boy Zelda game, Link's Awakening. So I had this game like when the Game Boy Loud, or no, what do you call it, the Game Boy Pocket came out, and I got it just because I wanted to get the Zelda game. But I think only played for 2 hours. It was too weird for me at that time when I was a teenager.
It is a weird.
Like the 2D.
That was my first Zelda game, so I didn't know any better.
Yeah, the 2D stuff and the jumping and seeing the Goombas in the game, I was like, I'm out. Zelda does not. You cannot have Goombas in Zelda.
It has a lot of cameos.
Yeah,
there's the chain chomp and.
Yeah, too much. But
there's a whole backstory behind all that.
Well, it's all a dream, right? That's kind of the thing.
Spoilers. That's the story of the story.
Well, the game's 25 years old.
As to why it had so many cameos in it.
Yeah. Well, well, other that, or it's a interdimensional confusion there.
No, because it's at the end you have to you don't really have to choose because it's not that kind of game. It's just you did it. Here's the ending, but it's like you're like, all right, I woke up the windfish. Now the island disappears, so I can leave. And you're like, were those people sentient? Did I just doom an entire society because I destroyed the dream that they was constructing them?
Wow, that's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But it was in English though, right? Whatever. You're paraphrasing, I'm assuming, right?
No, that was just what was going through my head.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you because Game Boy was your first video game system, right? And I was gonna say, did you play this game? You obviously did. Do you have fond memories of this? I mean, do you seeing this?
I remember really liking it. It was, it's almost a Metroidvania. It's got it tricks you really. Like it's got a pretty linear path. It's all but one big continuous world, and it's kind of you get the item that unlocks the next way, but everything always just unlocks in the same order. So it's like I don't know, like a pseudo Metroidvania. I don't know what you call that, but um, no, it's a fun game, and like the weird cameo parts are always pretty short. It's yeah, they showed it with the bouncing on the mushroom dudes, but those were like one room.
Yeah.
They were memorable. But the other like kind of notable thing about the game is that apparently it is heavily inspired by Twin Peaks, just in the weirdness and kind of there's just a quirky cast of characters on this island, and there's like a big fetch quest kind of running throughout the game where you just have this like story item that you keep taking from one person to another and exchanging for a different story item, and you just follow it down the chain, and then you get a big prize at the end, basically, kind of thing. But that's kind of how you interact with a lot of these wacky characters. So you're like, oh, you got to give this guy a flower, and then he gives you a boot, or I don't remember the specifics. Mm-hmm. There was a flower, it was a hibiscus at one point. I don't remember that. But now it looks like 3D dot game heroes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So let's talk about the kind of the aesthetic on this. So it's kind of got this 2.5D. That the actually the 3DS remake of Link to the Past kind of has, and I didn't really like that 3D art style. I thought it was just too generic 3D graphics, blah blah blah. But I kind of like this one because they kind of go for this, the animatronic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, kind of like eyes and stuff. Everyone kind of looks like a figurine from that universe or whatever. The eyes are kind of like just dots and all that stuff. So
they have they've got the depth of field thing going on, so everything just looks like you're looking down at a little diorama.
Yeah,
it's a fun look. I mean, that's what 3D dot game heroes had going for it.
Yep. I think it's I think you nailed it, right? It's a really good, and I think I've not heard this, but I'm pretty sure this is also an Unreal game engine, so that would kind of be an interesting Zelda game in Unreal. And I mean, I loved the 3D remake, and when I saw this, I'm just like, I want to play this right now. And yeah, I have no problem with Nintendo making a 2D Zelda game every other year. Give me a 3D game, and then give me a 2D game every other year, and because it's just something special about those 2D Zelda games, just something about it. So.
One of these days, I'll get Link to the Past on Super Nintendo. It's like the one big gap in my.
Oh, you never played that?
Childhood. No. Wow. It's like the one I hadn't.
Damn. Yeah, and you have a video game podcast, Frank? Kind of ridiculous. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I went straight from Link's Awakening to Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so. That's pretty much it for the Nintendo Direct. I mean, each individually, except for that Zelda game, not like a whole lot, but I think just all together, I mean, Jesus Christ, just look at all the stuff that we just discussed. We just spent 25 minutes discussing this, so I think overall it looked really, really solid. And I think they got a great year ahead of them. So, all right.
Good for you, Nintendo.
Yeah. It's good.
Keep it up.
It's good to see one.
Not even being sarcastic.
It's good to see one video game organization doing well, I guess. All right, so we'll just hit some other quick news really quick. Here was an interesting quote that Sony's, was it his president or whatever? Sony, Sean Layton, I guess, who's the president of Sony of America. I believe that's his position, or maybe it's just president of Sony Games, or whatever. When we so just discussing, they're not going to be at E3, and they're not even going to have a PlayStation event there or anything like that. So, and he was saying, when we decided to take video games out of CS back in 1995 during the PlayStation 1 era, EA served two constituencies, retailers and journalists. Retailers would come in, you'd see a guy come in and he'd say, I'm from Sears, I handle Hot Wheels, Barbie, VHS, and video games. So what are you about? There's a huge educational component. Then you had journalists who had magazines and lead time and jockeying for position on the cover. And there was no internet to speak of. So a trade show at that time of the year for this nascent industry was exactly what we needed to do. Now we have an event in February called Destinations in PlayStation, where we bring all retailers and third-party partners, blah, blah, blah. And then basically just says, it's not really worth it.
So
it's antiquated.
We're not going to do it anymore.
It's really expensive and antiquated, basically, he's saying, right? So. All right.
It's fun, guys. Come on.
Come on, just
Let's go to Vegas. Have some cocktails. It'll be fun.
yeah, just have a
Hang out at
PlayStation.
the convention center.
Have a PlayStation Direct. How about that? Okay. All right, and then Zhuang EX, who is a good Twitter follower if you care about video game business news, especially in the Asian market. He had some interesting data about Xbox Game Pass. This is from the Microsoft, what do you call it, investor call, whatever you call these things. And new data from Xbox shows that subscribing to Game Pass leads to 20% increase in game time. All right, 40% increase in number of games played. New titles entering Gold PC active base. Oh, no, okay. The new titles entering Gold Pass see active base grow 2 times. Wow, that's pretty big, actually. 25% increase in pre-orders. What are they I mean, I guess that's just pre-ordering other games, I guess, right? Non-Microsoft games. And then 10% increase in franchise sales. So it's really interesting how people are paying for this stuff. Maybe it's because they feel like they're getting a good value, so they're more willing to spend money other places. I don't know. It's kind of weird psychology, right?
It's how they get the hooks in you.
Yeah, exactly. That's why Amazon, Apple, and all these other people want you paying them money every single month, because you're already giving them some money. Why not give them more money? Right? So, all right. Okay, there you go.
It's too late. You're already into ecosystem now.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, we both have PlayStation Plus. I mean, we've definitely bought a bunch of games because we get an extra, 13% off with PlayStation Plus. Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, hey, it's the yellow number. It's the yellow number.
Yeah, you feel really good about yourself. Yeah, I'm getting a deal. It's like, okay, all right. You're buying.
I'm not going to play this game, but I got it for cheap.
You're buying data. You're buying ones and zeros. All right. It should cost nothing. All right. And then, so DF Retro, Digital Foundry Retro, another excellent, it's kind of a side channel for Digital Foundry. John Linneman covered Contra 3, which was one of my favorite games for the Super Nintendo. I remember being amazed by the game. And he took a look at the game and its ports, and also kind of the history of Contra, including the arcade game, which I remember a couple different pools around town, like hotels with pools, and I think I remember one, and they you'd have Contra sometimes, and I remember not liking the arcade game because it was kind of too weird from the home version. But now that I look at it, it actually looks really great with the sprites and all that stuff. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's always a downgrade from in that era to go from your arcade game to the NES ports. I don't recall ever seeing Contra in arcades as a kid. But I don't know. It doesn't mean it wasn't there. I just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. I didn't see it in an arcade, but I saw it at a pool. So some hotel guy had to hook up, I guess, or maybe someone was trying to get rid of it. Some of that, maybe Mario Singali or something. No, I don't know. All right, and then they also
what's the most obscure arcade game you've ever played from your childhood?
I've seen Street Fighter. I don't think I actually played. I saw that. I think that I saw that at Valley Fair. Actually, I think I saw Street Fighter at Valley Fair, which is just in Minnesota. It's outside Rochester, right? Valley Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
no.
It's closer to the cities.
I went there as a kid. I had no idea where we were going. We were going someplace. But I remember the Sega 3D games. Did you have those ones, like the hologram games?
Oh yeah. God,
Time Cop.
I've been at the Mall of America or something.
They had that at my local arcade.
It was the one that I never saw the fighting game one, because I think that was just an attempt to it kind of bombed, and then they tried to do a fighting game with the same cabinets. But those were the hologram ones where it was just a TV that beamed with mirrors beamed up into a ball. And there was absolutely no real 3D component. It was just kind of a screen that hovered in air, like a 2D plane. And then they had they actually had little physical objects in the background.
Like a
So,
square, well, a cube, a sphere, and like a triangle, like
yeah,
a cone, right, or something. Yeah, I was like
yeah,
touching
and
those
then
as a
like the
kid.
screen was just in front of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
But the actual gameplay was the Dragon's Lair.
yeah,
Kind of just
terrible
press the
stuff.
button and do the exact right thing, or put in another 50 cents.
You know, and they never really explained that stuff because I remember as a kid being like, "Man, why doesn't this thing control like Mario? Why isn't he like going around and
Yeah,
jumping and stuff
yeah.
like that?"
Like
You know?
it's just why I just die. I don't understand. But for me, I think the pizza place down the street from my house as a kid, and I really wish we'd have gone there more now, like in retrospect. But they had Splatterhouse.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I got
Yeah.
and that was in another room, so my parents never saw me playing it.
That was in the
They
porno
weren't, They
room.
weren't attentive enough.
They had the adult movies there too.
It was just arcade. It was just arcade games, but it was like facing the buffet or whatever, and
Yeah,
or not facing the buffet. Yeah, anyway.
Splatterhouse. Splatterhouse was fun. You were a guy like that looked like Jason with a hockey mask, right? And I think you fought aliens. Am I incorrect about that?
It was like zombies and stuff. But it was very gory for the time. Like he splashed them into the walls and stuff.
Weren't there like I literally mean like aliens from the Alien movie? Like weren't there? I think there were aliens. Am I wrong with that? I don't know. Could be wrong with it.
There's things that look like them in like Splatterhouse 3 on the Genesis.
Oh, okay. All right, man. I'm sorry. I don't have my Splatterhouse encyclopedia open here. I apologize. All right.
I want to play Splatterhouse now. Okay, anyway.
And then they also talked about Super C. I never played that. For some reason, I always felt like it wasn't as good as Contra. So I don't know. Did you ever play Super C on the NES?
I knew of it. Like I was like, oh, there's Super C. It's a different Contra.
Maybe it was never.
I don't think as a child I ever really understood the connection between all these games. That they were like arcade ports, and this one was the sequel. Like you have to give them like 1 and 2. Then I'll get it as a child.
I want to say maybe it was never available. Maybe it was just very hard to find. You know, for the most part. I could be wrong though. All right, and then here's kind of an interesting thing because of German video game laws at the time. You cannot kill human beings in a video game. They changed the protagonist to instead of Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, they changed it to robots. And in Europe, the game was called Super Protector. Super Protector. Yeah. All right, and then of course he goes through the games and all goes through the game and all the cool things, all the different levels, just doing all the different tricks that you could just imagine the programmers for that game just saying we gotta do this and do this and do this and blah blah blah. Really interesting stuff. He talks about the Game Boy Advance version, which does not have the top-down mode 7 stages, which kind of disappointing. Yeah, in all, he says the Game Boy version actually kind of really sucks. And also because of the screen dimensions, there really is no room to actually like see what you're doing and run and stuff. I mean, make moves and all this other stuff. And I guess there's actually stages from the Genesis game, which actually I guess is pretty good in the GBA version. So it's not really even Contra 3 for the Game Boy version. So don't get that one.
Nobody likes the top-down sections anyway.
So he said that, he noted that in the video, and then he said it actually feels pretty good today. So. Yeah, you're right. I don't think I liked it, but I think in hindsight, I think it actually looks pretty cool. I love Mode 7 stuff.
It's too damn hard. I could never even like get to the skeleton guys, let alone beat them. And he watched speedruns, and it's just like, Jesus H. Christ.
All right, and then so let's talk about the Activision Blizzard layoffs, and this kind of started earlier in the week with a Jason Schreier story. Actually, I think this hit on Friday after we recorded the show. Basically, there's rumors that there are going to be a lot of layoffs, and Activision wasn't saying anything. I mean, they can't say anything because they had an investors call, and you can't give up big information like that before a big investor call like that because it's called insider trading or whatever, or just whatever that crap is called. I obviously know quite a bit about this crap, right? All right, so let's just go over the kind of the big points, and we're kind of go into the weeds here in a moment. The investors call, they had a record revenue. They expect next year not to be that great. They're not going to have a lot of releases, and to cut costs, they are letting go of 8% of the workforce. Now, they did not give a specific number on the call, but going by, I guess, public information, it basically comes down to about 800 people. From what we know. And again, we don't know if that's like actual, because, they meet, when they say 8%, maybe they don't mean, I don't know, certain segment, or I don't know. But yeah, most people the number going around is 800 people.
No, it's actually, we're taking 8% off of all the employees. So if you would like your feet or your head chopped off.
Yeah. Take your choice. All right. So that's kind of the big things. And
the job.
I guess the usual anti big corporation, anti Bobby Kotick. We're hearing that he made $28 million last year, and now he's getting rid of 800 people. I mean, what else is there? I mean, they're making record revenue. I mean, I guess. Well, all right. Well, Frank, before we get kind of into the big things about this, I mean, just your reaction? I mean, do you? I mean, what else can you say other than it sucks?
Yeah. It's kind of a dick move. They and you on top of what gets me is that it's we can't talk about it, but everybody knows it's coming, kind of thing. But no, none of these people knew, who was going to be on the chopping block or how many or anything. So I have to imagine morale was pretty low around the office for the, 2 or 3 weeks before, or however long the rumors were flying. So it's stressful. I've been in that situation and at jobs before. And everyone just kind of like holding onto their desks.
Yeah, try not to.
Bracing yourself for what could happen.
Yeah. All right. So just kind of some specifics. They actually said that they're actually going to be hiring 20% more developers, and I guess most of these layoffs came in marketing and esports divisions. I guess these are the esports. I guess definitely was not performing like they had hoped. And it seems like they really staffed up, anticipating like esports to really take off. But I mean, the Overwatch League, of course, is going on, but I guess it's not. I think that's the problem with these games. And you can even look at Fortnite right now. I mean, yeah, these games can be the biggest thing in the world for like a year, but people get tired of this stuff, right? I mean, people are getting tired of games. You can only play a game how many thousands of hours before you want to move on to the next thing, right?
I don't know. Kids still playing Minecraft.
Yep, I guess. Yeah. Well,
that's Minecraft.
Well, I think it's just more kids. I think that's what it is. There's always more kids being born. All right, and then the other thing, I'm not sure. Again, I don't know a whole lot about either of these companies, but apparently, like Blizzard and Activision had separate marketing divisions and all that stuff. And if you're a giant company and you have a really awesome marketing division that markets the hell out of Call of Duty, and it's consistently one of the number one games of every year, why do you have these other guys around? So I'm sure there's a lot of redundancies.
Why wouldn't you have gotten rid of them immediately? Why wait until you've got a bunch of good dudes?
I guess I don't know. Who knows?
Who's running these companies? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it seems I think that's kind of it. I think it's Blizzard that kind of is. I think Activision is like, hey, enough is enough. You guys are special. You guys are blah, blah, blah. But you guys got to release games. You guys got to ship shit out. I mean, they did a World of Warcraft original vanilla remake this past year. And they're going to have no games coming out next year. I mean, yeah, Overwatch did well. But, I mean, good God. You got how many thousands of people working for Blizzard? What are they making? Well, what's going on? I mean, Steve Jobs famously said, real artists ship. What are these guys shipped? I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to be a little bit more real. I don't care about Blizzard games. I don't really play them, so maybe I'm a little jaded here. But I mean, it's like you can't have all these people sucking down money and not releasing stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
like Bobby Kotick. How many games has he released?
Yeah.
Zero.
Well,
He's
all right.
never worked on a game. He sucks down tons of money.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, let's talk about that. I mean, Bobby Kotick and this criticism that a CEO, shouldn't be making the amount of money. Okay. Well, they had $5.7 billion of revenue. All right, which is more than last year. So, how much should the CEO of this company make? I mean, I mean that's a lot of money. He's making the company a lot of money. He's helping steer it towards a lot of money. I mean, what is that? I think it's actually 28 million. That's actually probably not enough, right? And
I'd say he should have $100 an hour benefits.
Well, there's a lot of other companies that are willing to pay him way more than that. I don't think that's what these people realize. It's like these guys.
I've never ever understood this about corporate. Like, it's clearly just because these guys are in charge. Because nobody is like, yeah, you're gonna pay 28 million or somebody else will for these CEOs, but like, what makes Bobby Kotick so special other than that he, has CEO on his resume?
Well,
it's not like, so many of these guys, they just come in and loot the company anyway, and the turnover rates are pretty wild. It's not a crazy amount of loyalty in these high-end, upper management fellas.
Yeah, well,
So
I mean,
it's a systemic thing, and it's like because everybody else pays their CEOs an ungodly amount of money, we have to too. And
well, that's
it's basically the CEOs have the power of a union behind them, just as capital. So they're like an anti-union.
Well, it's also
like antimatter union. If they touch, they explode.
Yeah, well, maybe not himself is doing anything special, but it's the people that he knows, his contacts. When he gets hired to be a CEO of a company like this, he can bring in, he knows good contacts, he knows good salespeople, blah blah blah, and people want to work for him. I mean, for example, the CFO of Activision. This is a story. He went to Netflix, and they're paying him like $15 or $11 million. So, yeah, these guys are in demand, and these guys can command a big salary. And again, it's because they know people that can kick ass, that will work beneath them, and bring that talent to the company.
That's just what a boss does, is tell people what to do.
Well, yeah, right. You're right. And he tells them what to do, and they make a lot of money. So I don't know. I think they probably should be rewarded. So all right. So and again, the $5.7 billion, that's not profit either. That's the record revenue. That's not profit. The point is, I think their costs are way too high. And again, I think he's looking at Blizzard, and he's not seeing a lot of return.
Well, the other thing is that 800 people. Yeah. Okay, I understand you have personnel that their job is duplicated. Or whatever, so you don't want to just like leave money sitting on the table, but it doesn't even add up to like half of this guy's salary, and I just don't I don't get the concept of like, okay, he's good at hiring people, so that makes him worth a astronomical, exponentially higher salary than anybody else, plus stock performance bonuses. How could you possibly have the knowledge that's worth 200 times what the guys who are actually making the games have?
Well, hey.
It's just because that's the way it is. This is a self-reinforcing system here.
No,
I strongly disagree that that man's labor is worth anywhere near what his salary is.
I mean, Frank.
Or any CEO.
Oh, Frank. All right, Frank. You made a movie, right?
Well, and they're just getting stock options too. So it's like.
Well, yeah. Aren't the employees getting stock options? So don't the other employees kind of want?
Not at this. Clearly not anymore. At the same level. And I don't know. Maybe that's kind of to enforce loyalty, I guess, because you don't want to tank the company because then you're tanking your own bank account. Though again, when you're that rich, you could lop a whole zero off of your entire life and like not notice the difference. as far as your day-to-day existence.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just what? How could you possibly be worth that much money? How could anybody? Like, what kind of Michael Jordan of like? That's the thing. How can every one of these guys be the Michael Jordan of running companies if they're all getting Michael Jordan of running companies salary? Like,
I don't think they all are,
there should be
but
like a lot more variation at least. Like, shouldn't there be some guy who's like, well, I did a bad job this year, so I'm not making that much money.
well,
Everyone's been bringing up the Nintendo
yeah,
dude
funny you
who
should
like
say that.
actually did cut his salary.
The good people of Nintendo, yeah, he got cancer and died. So that goes to show
I
what
guess he
happens.
just wasn't valuable enough to have his cells not divide uncontrollably and murder him.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm sure there's economic theory behind all that. Again, I probably sound like
Economic theorists, they're already in charge.
I probably sound like crazy conservative, neo whatever. But I just like to see some balance. It's just you see these comments on these boards, and these are people that have never run a business, have never had a balance of what do you call it, balance sheet, have never had to make payroll on Friday.
Well, that's not his job either. That's the CPA. That's the CFO.
He's got to make sure there's cash in the bank so all the checks clear. So. And by the way, Frank, you work for a huge conglomeration, right? You could probably tell me 5 people.
No, it's relatively like
okay, minor. Well,
it's a relatively
mid-major,
small,
mid-major.
we're talking millions of dollars, but not obviously not millions.
Come on, they make billions right? The hospital that you work at is big billions, right? Don't you work at a hospital, or don't you? Or you don't work at a?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you. Okay.
No, I work for a hunting and sporting goods company.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were okay.
I work for a catalog. No, they. But even us, like the CEO of my company, like we don't have like a huge staff for anything but the warehouse. And so this dude that I've taught, and he's not making anywhere near like he's not like in these leagues. I think the guy makes like 15 million or something. But still, it's like I've talked to him once. But that's I think that's with all the options and stuff, and that's still he's not making anywhere near Bobby Kotick numbers. But I don't know what he does. I've talked to him twice. I have 3 people in between him and I who act who are making decisions and doing things, and the position. There's been a huge turnover. We've gone through in the time I've been there, we've gone through 4 CEOs, and I've never really noticed a difference. It's just these guys make decisions like, hey, we should change the branding. Let's do a new branding campaign. And that's the insight that earns this guy $15 million a year.
Yeah.
The CEO who worked there when I started, I spoke to him maybe twice, and I mainly saw him reading Wall Street Journal. That seemed to be about 90% of what he did.
Yeah. Well,
they're not Supermen. They're not the Ubermensch.
Well, you are correct. However, just like a painting with just a square in a museum that sells for $10 million, hey, is that art? Well, could you do something like that?
That's just them parking money. It's the same.
Yeah,
it's the same bastards. I want to get the 3D glasses from the dude from Twin Peaks. Get my golden shovel. The fucks are at it again.
All right. Well, there's definitely. And by the way, should we talk about Jim Sterling for a second, ranting against capitalism while this guy is getting paid off YouTube revenue and whatnot?
Oh, hey, I don't think you're definitely not making CEO money as a YouTuber.
Well, hey, Jim, if we're all about sharing, I'm sure you're. Hey, I make YouTube videos, Jim. I don't make any money. How about you share some of your YouTube revenue with me? How about that? I'm sure he'll be first one to step up and share his paycheck, right? Anyways, it's just...
Well, you guys don't work for the same company. You don't work for a company at all.
Well,
it's he is kind of a broken record these days, but it's what else is there from the business standpoint, from the news standpoint? Like, there's only so much stuff you can, so many ways to talk about this. And you notice that, like, the conservative voices in the video game, media, are much more focused on, censorship of anime boobs, and, you know, complaining about someone else complaining that, the playing as the female character in Far Cry 5,
Yeah,
if you pick that as your avatar, has like a weird rapey vibe when you get to the end of the game and stuff like that. Because I don't know, if you look at the business practices of these companies for too long, you will inevitably be driven insane by just how, like whoever it is who's running Konami these days. How could that man possibly be worth more than $1.50 an hour?
Mm-hmm.
He should be working for tips.
Well, he works for yen, literally yen, because they're doing a bunch of slot machines, right? So
he's the human pachinko machine. You put a quarter in, maybe you get some stuff out.
All right, so I think it's important to say that both of us probably sound ridiculous because none of us have economic degrees or anything like that. So, I mean, of course, it sucks. I just think, again, of course, it sucks. Sometimes it's just everyone just goes a little bit too nuts one way, so it's nice to discuss kind of the other side of stuff. So, all right, so Frank, do you have any news for us for this week?
I did, but like the spirit of Lenin is flowing through me right now, and he pushed out whatever it was.
Oh, okay.
So I can't.
Okay. You just forgot about it, or what?
Mad at capitalism right now. No, it wasn't anything too important.
Oh, okay.
My blood's too hot.
All right, should we talk?
Got my blood up.
Should we talk about all these new game releases came out? I mean, the Far Cry 5. I mean, what else came out?
I don't know what. It's Far Cry 5.5.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, the new Far Cry games.
God,
what else came out? Oh yeah. Crackdown 3 comes out on Friday, right? All this stuff comes out on Friday, I'm assuming.
Yeah, right? The media just trying desperately to have an opinion on Crackdown has been really funny. Surely it should be something worth talking about. And everything I've seen about it, because I loved the first game. So this whole time I'm like, I don't get to play that. But it's just it's so hard to care one way or another. I watched some video on it, and it looks so utterly okay.
Yeah.
It would almost be after such a long, tortuous development, it's almost an anticlimax that it's not terrible.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really have a justification for its existence. Of course, you got the usual suspects screaming downgrade because the cloud physics thing is significantly less impressive than the demos they were showing 2 years ago.
Yeah, shocking. That never happens, right?
Yeah. Well, it's so weird that it's all multiplayer, because you watch the footage of the multiplayer thing, and it's kind of neat that you can blow up the platforms and cause the tower to fall down. It does nothing that really makes you go oh yeah, they definitely needed extra computational power for this. It really seems like something that could have easily been done just with the console's processor. Maybe with a scale down in resolution or something, or frame rates. It's just it's weird. And then I remember watching the No Clip documentary on The Witness, and Jonathan Blow talked a lot about that, of a demo he did for a game, a multiplayer game that was supposed to have server side physics. and how like that was a terrible idea and it could never work, you know, but it was a decent like tech demo for them, and like how it's just like the worst idea to like have like a complicated thing like physics like have to be worked into the net code, of like, all right, how is this building falling down the same way for everybody?
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I think like in the end it's not so much that they need the cloud, in order to do these cool effects, is that I think they just need the cloud in order to keep the destruction synced for all the players. So I don't know.
Well, theoretically, now I took freshman physics in high school, but if you have something coming at the same vector, at the same speed, hitting the same object, shouldn't everything kind of happen exactly the same? So all you need to know is
Yeah,
just
but
those.
it's all responding dynamically to, you know, what the players are
Yeah.
destroying. So you have to like the netcode has to take into account like what you just blew up with a missile, not just like the physics. Yeah, like they make it sound like it's
Obviously,
it's calculating all this like super advanced physics.
Yeah.
When yeah, it really just seems to be keeping it synced together.
obviously they've thought of this stuff, so yeah, I haven't. So all right. But yeah, I haven't seen the Digital Foundry again. John Lemon did a video on Crackdown 3, and he only showed the single player, and the Windows, Xbox X, and the S version, and I guess they're all kind of 30 frames. Although you can play it on the PC at like 60 frames, I guess, which actually looked really, really good. And he was basically saying if you love Crackdown, the first one, it's a really good game. And he never really showed the multiplayer, but he's gonna go over it later, I guess. So I never played Crackdown. So
It's fun. It's, I mean, it at no point has it been like a must-play kind of thing, but it existed in a time like it beat GTA 4 to market. So you know, there was a brief time where it was kind of the GTA game. Even though you like so rare, like it's also the first of those like open world games where you can steal cars, and then like by the end of the game you're not really bothering with cars because your on foot traversal skills are so ridiculous that it's like, why would I drive around this block? Like I could just jump over it.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say the Saints Row games, the later Saints Row games are. Like, if you really need a fix and you don't have an Xbox, go play one of those.
All right. Did you have anything else to add for any of that?
No.
Okay. All right. That's called a pregnated pause, I believe. That pause just had a baby.
That pause meant maybe, and then the no meant never mind.
All right, so with that, we're getting super late, but we will take a break, and we'll be back with the games we've been playing.
I don't actually hear it, no.
All right, so we will be back here in a second. Okay. Yeah, it's weird because I played audio with Skype before, and the other people can hear it, so I don't know why it doesn't work. All right, we are back. So I have a couple games, but Frank, why don't you go first? What have you got for us this week?
Not a ton. Had I beaten Ace Combat last time we had a show?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Well, I beat Ace Combat. So.
All right. How was the ending? Shocking.
It was ridiculous. Like the final boss fight. I was kind of wondering like how, because you like fight the giant MacGuffin super weapon plane, you know, at like mission 17 out of 20. So I was really wondering like what like the last mission was going to be. I felt like they did a pretty good job of making like a Japanese action video game story boss fight, and managing to cram that into the context of this mildly realistic airplane game. So I don't know, spoilers here. Tune out if you don't want to hear about the end. Like I couldn't tell you much about the story anyway, because
I was gonna
Very
say,
little
could you
frame
write
of reference.
could you write a book report on the story of this game? Probably not, right?
I guess so, because so much of it is just exposition, like in narration. But yeah, I don't have a lot of priors. Other than that, like there is this weird, like, um, like I'm pretty sure it's not anti-Semitic because I don't think the developers really like understood the reference. But there's a race of people in the game, the Balkans, no Belkans, not Balkans, Belkans, and they I guess were maybe the villains of an older game, and they're a country of like shifty super scientists. Like they have a lot of or a small rich country with really advanced technology. And apparently, in one of the old games, like they were about to lose a war, and their like ultimate plan was to nuke their own country for sympathy. So they like detonate a bunch of nukes on their own soil, and then like force themselves to like they irradiate their country, and so then they all have to just emigrate throughout the world. Whereas revenge, they then like foment wars and conflict across the globe. And I'm like,
A little on the
guys,
little on the
this
nose.
isn't a metaphor, is it, guys? Because that would be a little weird. Like, yeah, it's totally just like, yeah, kind of the wandering Jew crossed with like a James Bond villain. Yeah, it was just weird, and it's kind of the backstory of one of the villainy characters of the game. But the other thing that's weird is the game doesn't really have villains. Like for the most part, it's like it's hard. It's well, and the names are also. It's like you're on the Ocean continent, and no, the Eusian continent, and you're the Oceans who are fighting the Erusians. And I'm pretty sure that's right, and that's nonsense that I could actually get it that far. Because it's like, come on, guys, you can make up any words you want for these made-up countries. Why do they all have to sound so similar? But yeah, so you know, I forget what side I'm on in the conflict, and then the geopolitics like later in the game get really nuts, and it's like you don't know friend from foe in like in later missions, and then the enemy side is having a civil war, so now there's like two factions of shootable bad guy enemies, but they're also shooting at each other. It gets very complicated. Okay, so spoilers. The final boss fight is you're trying to stop two super drones because like the conflict is basically over, and it's just two drones with super advanced AI are going to basically cause the war to continue on forever unless you stop them from uploading their super AI combat data to the rest of the drone fleet, which is being made in automated factories. So you basically, it's just two really, really tough planes that you have to take down. Like they take a lot of damage, and they're very, very fast and responsive, and they'll dodge all your damn missiles. But so you take out them, and then it does the like this isn't even my final form thing on the second drone after you shoot the first one down, where it ditches its like outer wings and becomes a smaller, more agile drone, and then flees into a tunnel that goes under the sea to the space elevator. That's like a big MacGuffin in the game. And you have to follow it. I was like, well, and apparently this is a trope from the Ace Combat games of like flying in tunnels for big story missions. But yeah, that's not easy to do. I crashed a bunch. I was like, he went into an underground tunnel. I am gonna die when I try to get in there. And sure enough, did not make it. But thankfully, the game was nice enough to respawn me facing the other direction, so I didn't have to turn around and then go in the tunnel. But yeah, so you have to follow it through, and it's very Star Wars-y, like flying into the Death Star kind of thing, and the drone is hacking doors to close in front of you, and you know you're flying a supersonic jet, so that's not easy to maneuver in a indoor environment. Yeah, and then you have to. The fight is easy. when you actually like corner it in the core of the space elevator or antenna relay or whatever the hell it is. Uh, but it's still incredibly dangerous because you can basically you have to pick a direction when you get to the area where you can go around in a circle, and it's nigh impossible to turn around once you've committed. And then you have to flee out the top of the space elevator. So yeah, they managed to do like a multi-part boss fight in airplane game form. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So it's sufficiently like cinematic enough, because that's always the problem with these games, is that they've got the dramatic music and the pretty graphics and stuff, but it can be easy, and like the very intense overacting voice acting on the radio, but it can be easy to lose the drama when the gameplay is like flying around in a circle and trying not to get dizzy while you try to line up your missile lock-on the opponent as you circle each other. So it's like this tiny little plane that maybe you see every couple of seconds as you're trying to keep up with it, and then lots of HUD, like, oh, if the thing turned red, I can press the circle and hope that it kills him. I mean, not that I don't want to bash the gameplay. It's a pretty fun game, especially for somebody who's not hugely into flight sims. But yeah, it's easy to seem very rote and mechanical and not have like the cinematic kind of immersive feel to it. But having the weird set pieces kind of crammed in there kind of takes care of that. And then I replayed a couple missions and got S ranks, and I don't know, it's a fun game. I might actually continue to play it a little bit. I killed a couple people in multiplayer.
Yeah. So
now that I have decent planes.
Yeah. So how's that? I mean, is there like a scene? Does it take a lot time to find a game? Are there players actually?
No, it hasn't. I haven't had to wait. It seems to have a big enough core fan base, at least on PlayStation. And I mean, it's pretty simple modes. Like, I think all they have is Team Deathmatch and then Battle Royale, which is just regular deathmatch. It doesn't even have, like, you respawn. Like, how is this a Battle Royale at all? Like, it's just deathmatch. Whoever has the high score at the end after everyone versus everyone. It's not even last man standing. It's just every man for himself deathmatch. So yeah, it doesn't have a crazy longevity. It would be cool if they had like modes where you had AI units, like ground units, because that's the other thing. Because like there's like air to ground combat like is not a thing in the multiplayer, for I guess sort of obvious reasons. So like there's a lot of planes like the AC-10, which is like the A-10 Warthog, that like are pretty useless in multiplayer because they mainly have air to ground roles. So it would be cool to have like each team on like a team deathmatch have like an army to protect. And you could score by avoiding being killed and taking out enemy units. So are you listening, you guys?
Namco?
Like this. Yeah.
Namco
Get
Bandai?
the DLC going.
All right. So, do you want to give it a final number out of 10?
Yeah, I will give it an 8 out of 10 for airplane games.
All right. Nice. Now, is that an IGN 8 or is that a real 8? No, I'm just
I don't know. I guess I'm grading on a curve. That's why I said 4 airplane games. Like, give it a 7 for like my own personal scoring system, which is good. I'm not. It's not an IGN 7.
All right. IGN 7's bad. IGN 7's like a 3 in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because they use like it's a C. C's are bad when you're in school.
Yep. No one wants to see
A, B, C, D, F, and then anything below 5 out of 10 is just also an F.
Yeah, that's. I mean, is it? Yeah, but 5 is average though, right? So I always thought that was kind of weird, right? Okay. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Any other games for us?
I've bounced pretty hard off of Shadow Warrior 2. Again, I gave it another chance. And I really think, and I think I might have to get that Outer Wilds game when it comes out just to test this theory because that looks pretty cool. But I am starting to think that I just don't like RPG elements in shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because yeah, it's just like you got all these cool guns, but all I'm thinking about is like, well, do I have the right elemental damage for this enemy? And like the menus are very clunky. It's another game where the menus didn't get a lot of optimization for being on console. Yeah, so I just was like, I really want to like this game, but I really wish it was just like a linear, you know.
Take all that crap out.
Yeah, yeah. Like I want to have point A and point B levels with a little bit of openness in the middle, and like I want new guns to mean something. Like because I get guns in this game, and I'm probably never gonna touch that because my weapon wheel is full, and I would have to go into the menu to equip it, and then I don't have enough like gems to make it as strong as this other gun that I have. So I guess I'm just still gonna use that. And I'm like, that just seems wrong coming from a franchise that started on the build engine.
Yeah. All right. Shadow Warrior 2. All right, just really quick because we're going a little bit late. Speaking of going back to a game to give it another chance, I played some more Apex Legends, and we were talking about this last week, and I was just saying it was just too different, too weird, and I just didn't want to invest too much time into it. But, Frank, there are times when you want to go online and kill people, and metaphorically speaking, of course, and, your homies aren't on PUBG, and then you just don't have energy to play PUBG, which takes a lot of time and effort and energy and all that stuff. And then you don't play Battlefield, so I'll go into Apex Legends, and a lot of my friends I'd say like I always at one time have like 5 friends playing Apex Legends. Now I have a bunch of shooter friends that I've met over the years on Battlefield and PUBG and these other things. But yeah, so I always kind of have a friend to play with. But the nice thing about it is just you get into the game like really quick. It's fast. And it's easy to play, and it's actually like fun to play. So yeah, there's a bunch of different weapons, and none of them kind of make sense because the names are kind of like G1704. It's like, why don't they just call it like a like a carbine or something like that? I mean, just something like easy, to recognize.
I bet if you were a big Titanfall fan, you would know exactly what that was.
Exactly.
You would think what you just said is very silly.
I know. And people are like, hey, play Titanfall, man. It's $4 online. Play it. No, that's correct. And I totally agree with everything you just said. I also, people are saying like the menus are like really clear and all that stuff. And yeah, they have bright colors and all that stuff, but there's still a lot of writing and there's still a lot of text. And the text is still pretty small, and it's not really so I would say we can still do the menu system a little bit better. The menu system itself is good, but I think there's still even more simplification we can do with that. But yeah, I mean, I'll keep on playing it and playing more and more. And I actually did win a match with some friends of mine, so that feels always good. And yeah, the sounds, the weapon sounds feel really, really good. Sound really, really good on that game.
Is this just us getting old that we care so much about the menus and UIs of video games now?
Yeah, the menu systems in NES games were trash, like garbage.
Yeah. Well, and they generally were pretty simple too.
Well, can you imagine going back and playing Zelda with the menu system like it is right now? I mean, you can, but it's like, super annoying. Yeah, you have to bring it down and up and all that crap. All right, so really quick, Yoshi's Crafted World. Again, this is a platformer and in the Unreal Engine. I'll say I think they're going a little bit too crazy on the focus, the draw focus, because they have like there's different levels to the game. I mean 3D levels, I should say. I don't say levels, but panes. I guess or planes. I guess you would say. And it's almost a lot like Bug from the Saturn, which is like almost one of the first 3D platformers. You remember Bug from the Saturn? How you're basically like a bug going on these pretty thin like roads or whatever, and doing all these levels. It was kind of a crappy platform and all that stuff. So just like that, you're kind of going back and forth in the landscape, and it's not really super organic because you're just pretty much following a line. And it kind of makes me wonder if they're testing this game out like with VR, because they really kind of got this cool kind of VR-ish almost aesthetic to it, where you really see things focus and out of focus, and sometimes it looks pretty not great. So I mean, I know it's a demo, but yeah, they may be going a little bit too crazy with these Unreal filters at their disposal and all that stuff. But I mean,
Remember when Bloom was everywhere?
Yeah, it's a pretty bright game. The gamma's pretty bright. I think you definitely have to turn it down, but I think it looks really, really good overall. And some people have said the sound sounds really bad. The last Yoshi game, I thought the soundtrack was really great. This is a little bit more maybe childish, but I mean, again, it's the first level. The first couple of levels of these games are kind of like these little baby levels, but then I think kind of as you move on and on, they get a little bit more sophisticated. And I know everyone's asking, how do you throw the eggs? What is the egg situation on this? Well, Frank,
with your butt.
well, yeah, you crab them out and then you throw them. Well, Frank, the original Yoshi and then the more recent Yoshi game, some of the ones in between, you would pick your throw button and hold it down, and then the throw button would basically do a 180 circle in front of you, right? And you can
you just have like the going back like the windshield wiper reticle.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my preferred way to play, and I love that way. That is not in this game, Frank. That has been removed. And in its place is you basically have to use one of the joysticks.
So you're actually aiming directly now.
Yeah, yeah. And you're actually kind of...
So you're mad that they're doing it the proper way, is what you're saying.
No, because that's not okay, it may be the proper way, but it doesn't feel good because it's not like a first-person shooter, which maybe it should be a little bit more sensitive. It's actually pretty slow. And then you're actually, because there's different planes in the game field, you actually kind of end up like throwing it like in front of you, so it kind of does kind of like almost like a shooter at some points. But I mean, obviously it's a Yoshi game, it's not like a real shooter. I would say put motion controls on this. Let you use your motion control to move that cursor around and hit the ball, throw the eggs and all that stuff. That's what I should do, and I hope they may not do that. They actually may break the game. I don't know. Who knows? I'm sure I'm not the only one that's thought of that. I'm sure Nintendo's thought about that as well. But I think that's just dying for motion controls, using your motion control as a pointer for your eggs, because it's just so much more smoother and all that stuff. So, and then you actually get to play quite a bit of the game on this demo, because you finish the first level, and then there's kind of like a secondary quest you do. So it's almost like an adventure platform. And at one point, this guy asks you to find a bunch of, you got to find 5 cows. So I guess there's fetch quest and Yoshi in a 2D platformer Yoshi game now. I don't know. I'm not really big on that.
He's probably going to eat the cows, because you need a lot of energy to metabolize that much if you're going to be utilizing your cloaca as an offensive weapon.
Yeah, well, he's going to have some solid eggs coming out, if you know what I mean, right? So anyways, I kind of stopped after that point. Yeah, I mean, I definitely will be picking this up because I love the Yoshi games, and it looks good. I don't know, I don't think it ran that great. I thought it ran fine, but apparently John Linneman said it doesn't run great, so we'll see what the video shows on that. But again, it's the demo, so we got another month and a week to come on. So, all right, so that's all I got for this week. All right, super long show, but it's all over now. So
we've done longer.
Yeah, that's true. Well, when we really did the show, we're doing 90 minutes at a time, and I think after 2 weeks, we were like, yeah, we're just wasting our time. No reason for that. No one wants to hear 2 people blab for an hour and a half. I don't think so, for the most part.
Unless it's like Tony Todd and Keith David, or no, it was Ken Faree and Keith David from the horror noir. Oh. Anyway, it's a documentary on black horror. It's really interesting. Go watch it.
Oh, okay. All right, nice. All right, so for that, that's it. Thanks for watching. So for Frank White, my name is Chris Stotts. Let's see if I get the music going here. I don't know if I can. Yeah, it's been Chris Frank Games. and we will see you guys next week.
Bye-bye. Eat the rich.